I'm Wayne Learmont. We farm here at Tangura, Warrulan area, and yeah, been growing peanuts and grain and a few cattle now for 40 odd years, and been using NatraMin probably since the late 80s, and still using it today. So now using it over the whole property, whereas before just on parts of paddock as a trial. Yeah, we're happy with the results we're getting with it. Soil condition is a lot better now than what it used to be. Even when it's dry and hard, it's still a lot easier and softer to cut peanuts out, which is a good thing. The other thing is we tend to find in the real hard patches of the paddock, for cutting out, you don't have those big clumpy lumps of soil sticking to the peanuts, which is, you haven't got soil going through the rest of your machinery, and a lot easier for drying and everything else. The easier it is to get the peanuts out of the ground without staying in the ground, the better off it is. Yeah, we rely on AgSolutions to probably work out a fertiliser mix which is going to suit the property. Well, we don't do soil tests every year, probably once every 4 or 5 years we'll do a soil test and work out what's going to be the best proposition. Half the property is peanuts and half grain, and that's the rotation. Well, it'll be 1 year of peanuts, 1 year of corn, peanuts, corn, and occasionally we might plant a winter crop of barley if conditions suit. As far as life of growing peanuts, at come harvest time, all we want is dry weather. But to actually grow the peanuts, we want the wet weather. Probably more the mechanisation of machinery. I suppose machinery's getting bigger or bigger capacity, probably getting better varieties than what we had years ago, more distinct putting a crop on varieties. Apart from that, probably getting more nutrition average across a paddock, whereas before you'd have parts that not as good and good parts, whereas now it's getting a lot more consistent across the whole paddock. From a soil condition point of view, yeah, a lot better across the whole paddock. Normally with peanuts we don't fertilise. We tend to over-fertilise our grain crop to compensate for the year of peanuts that we don't. So, because peanuts are more of a scavenger of nutrients rather than, I suppose, putting it on a plate underneath their nose. So we'll actually put more fertiliser on our grain crop than what we really need for the year that we don't fertilise the peanuts. And that's where I think the NatraMin comes in and plays a part for both crops as well as the soil condition. I normally, harvest the corn and apply the NatraMin and then work it all in at the same time. So that's usually around that, or could be July, August period, and then it's all get worked into the soil for peanuts, which gets planted in that November, December. Probably weather conditions. Pricing, that prices aren't going up in relation to the cost of everything else. Well, mainly on our scrub soil with a low pH, and we were programmed liming every 2 to 3 years with lime, and decided to give NatraMin a try, and yeah, achieved the same results, and we just kept on using it. And we also get a better results in the heavier soil as well as the low pH in the scrub soil. And that's where we find the, I suppose, biggest benefit is the heavier the soil or more clay in it, a lot more friable if it's hard and dry when you're cutting out. Even though the ground will be still cracked open, it's still soft. From the soil condition is where we find the biggest benefit. On a dry year, it's just a lot easier cutting out where you got hard, clumpy soil. And your soil's probably a lot more friable come planting time as well. You get carry over from year to year and you get that long-term benefit out of it. certainly a different lifestyle to living in the city, that's for sure. And I suppose you got to like it to do it. Yeah, you get the years that, kicks you in the backside, and you get the years that are very helpful. So, but anyway, I suppose pretty much that's farming. You're going to get the bad ones as well as the good ones. So, yeah, and probably more people from the city should come out and have a look what does actually happen, because I think they might have a bit of an eye-opener to what happens elsewhere. And it's not something that you knock off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and have the weekend off. It's 7 days a week job, and sometimes nearly 24 hours a day job. So, but anyway, I'm still doing it and still liking it, so that's the main thing. I think while there's a demand there for the product, the industry is still going to be there. The biggest problem is we're all getting older, and how many younger ones are going to continue on to do it. That's probably the biggest stumbling block, is having enough young ones to continue on doing it. And the other thing, I suppose, is getting a better price for your product, because as I suppose input costs keep going up, the end product price isn't going up in relation with it. That is another stumbling block, I suppose. So pay a bit more for your peanuts.